So, as some of you may know, I'm Morgan, Sue's grandson, and I'm a student at Bangor University and an ambassador for the OddBalls Foundation. So, bore da pawb, fi di Morgan, a dwi'n dysgu yn Prifysgol Bangor ar hyn o bryd. Dwi'n gorffen, wel, wsos nesaf, gobeithio. A dwi'n llydgenhad i'r OddBalls Foundation ar hyn o bryd o mis Awst diwetha hyd at mis Awst blwyddyn yma. So, na i ddechrau wan. Yn anffodus, dim ond fersiwn Saesneg o'r cyflwyniad sydd gennau, so fydd gweddill cyflwyniad yn Saesneg. Hi everyone, so I'll go through the presentation and stuff, and then if anyone's got any questions or anything, feel free to ask them at the end. All right, so this will work now. There we go. So to begin with, you're probably all wondering why I've got a screen full of names for men's testicles, essentially. The answer is quite simple, really. So at the OddBalls, we believe that it's really important to get men talking about the uncomfortable. So in all honesty, it's definitely something that's stigmatized, and we heavily believe that. So we're trying to get people to start speaking about, like I said, the uncomfortable, including like testicular cancer and their own privates and stuff. So it's kind of going to be a light-hearted way to call them whatever you want to kind of get that message across. Okay, so the main question for us is, what is testicular cancer? So I'm sure the majority of people on the call have well, either experienced it themselves or have someone who's experienced being diagnosed with some sort of cancer. So testicular cancer is essentially just a cancer of the testicles. Obviously, quite a vicious disease, not something anyone wants, but it is a fact of life. And all, like, it's one of those that even though the treatments and stuff are quite effective, it can still have quite a significant impact on those who have it, obviously. So we believe it's really stigmatized. Not many people want to speak about it. So we believe that it needs to be promoted, and we need to encourage people to speak about it in a comfortable way. And that all goes back to becoming comfortable about speaking about the uncomfortable. So for the ladies on the call, you may be wondering why I'm speaking to you as well. Well, at OddBalls, we believe that testicular cancer can affect anyone. So it might not be you directly develops it. It might be a family member or a friend. So it's really important that this message is conveyed to every demographic to essentially just raise awareness. Because if it's just men that we're speaking to, then the demographic's obviously quite small and the message isn't necessarily getting across there. And as we know, even though we're trying to kind of, like, again, make people comfortable about speaking about the uncomfortable and kind of get rid of the stigma, there are still going to be men that don't want to speak about it. So if other people are kind of aware of the symptoms and the signs and stuff, then you will be able to convey that message as well, which is really important. Okay, so I'll kind of look at the brand of OddBalls itself. So for those of you that don't know, OddBalls was founded in 2014, and it's essentially an underwear brand. They do many other things like cushions and bean bags, etc., umbrellas, golf towels, you name it, kind of thing. And the kind of idea behind it was that they provide people with the best and loudest underwear in the aim to raise awareness of testicular cancer. So the whole, like, they are very, very comfy, but the whole idea is that because they're so bright, it gets people talking. They're quite memorable. And then when you see our OddBalls and you kind of delve into it a little bit and find out what we're about, then it kind of plants that seed to begin to expand into the wider message, really. So since its establishment, the OddBalls brand has grown quite significantly. So we've got over 325,000 followers as of March 2022 on social media now. So that covers Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. And they've donated over £650,000 to different testicular cancer charities, which is obviously quite a significant amount of money. And this number just keeps growing and growing. So one of the ways we kind of raise this awareness is through our national partners. So the teams you can see on screen now, such as the British and Irish Lions, Welsh Rugby, English Cricket, England Football, Australia Rugby League, South African Rugby, and our latest one is USA Rugby. So again, kind of expanding that the reach and everything. So we use these with our official licensed underwear brand. So the supporters can buy our underwear, but also we can. It kind of creates an image, really. So wherever they go, we go. And when people are looking up towards their heroes and they're wearing a certain brand, it works exactly the same with trainers. So if a child's growing up and sees, oh, their hero's wearing, I don't know, a pair of Nike football boots, then they'll want those boots as well. So it works exactly the same with underwear. Obviously a bit more lighthearted, but yeah, it does tend to work. We also have our elite sports teams, so pretty much works exactly the same as the national sports teams, just on a, well, some may say smaller because it's just clubs, but it may even be wider because those clubs can reach further than some countries. So you've got Spurs football, Aston Villa, Leeds United, Crystal Palace, Newcastle United. Then in terms of rugby, you've got Saracens, Sale Sharks, Bath, Bristol Bears, and then Scarlets and Cardiff Blues from Wales. So it's quite a synonymous rugby brand, to be honest. A lot of people that I've spoken to link the brand with rugby. We're trying to kind of promote that, but also kind of get it into other sports, because then we're reaching a wider audience again. And all it is wanting to raise awareness even further. So another way we kind of raise awareness is through our famous faces. So on the screen, you can see ex-rugby players Shane Williams and Dan Carter, ex-footballers Ronaldinho and Alan Shearer, big names in their sports. And you can also see, which I believe is really important, that Dame Kelly Holmes gets behind it as well, which again kind of goes back to the whole idea that we're trying to raise awareness and that anyone can be affected. So if women as well as men are promoting this, then it's reaching a wider audience and showing that it's okay to speak about it, which again has pretty strong links to mental health and the kind of approach we should be taking on that. So move on to the OddBalls Foundation now. So that's who I work for or volunteer for. So it's really important to remember that the foundation and the OddBalls brand are two separate things. They're two branches off the same tree, but they are two separate things. So the OddBalls Foundation was founded in 2016, and we basically solely focus on raising awareness and raising money. Essentially, we're a charity. So there's an image there of the first donation that we received, and then there's also an image there of the Check Yourself guides that we hand out. So I've got the job to go and distribute these to 90 locations across North Wales. So like men's toilets, etc., men's changing rooms, just to, again, raise awareness and kind of promote a really important message. So today I'm giving what we call a testicular cancer talk. So here's a few images of the first testicular cancer talk given by the foundation. And it was, well, pretty much 7 years ago now. This PowerPoint's a little bit old. At the Queen Elizabeth Grammar School in England. And it's really important, it kind of highlights how important these talks can be, as a student discovered a lump whilst checking himself after the talk. There's no guarantees, but it's likely that the student may not have kind of linked the importance of checking himself had he not had the talk. It did turn out to be cancer, so he's pretty lucky, to be honest. He's okay now, which is brilliant, but it does again highlight how important these talks can be and how important the message is that we're conveying. So kind of covered the foundation itself and the OddBalls brand. So now we'll kind of go into the nitty-gritty stuff, which obviously isn't the nicest part, but probably the most important part. So cancer is defined by the NHS as a condition where the cells in a specific part of the body grow and reproduce uncontrollably. And then the cancerous cells invade and destroy the surrounding healthy tissue, including organs such as your lungs and obviously your testicles. So pretty vicious disease, as many of you will know. Curable some of the time, but it's not a nice disease, and it can be quite devastating for those who develop it and those surrounding those who are developing it. So I assume everyone knows what a testicle is, but for those of you that don't, it's an oval-shaped male sex organ. Or organs, sorry, and it's a really important part of the male reproductive system. So basically, if you want kids, you need testicles. If you want to be a man, you need testosterone, which is what they produce. So just a few facts about testicular cancer that are pretty important. So it's the most common cancer to affect men and people with testicles aged 15 to 49. But it's really important to remember it can strike at any age. So this shocked me when I originally joined the foundation, because I always thought of cancer as quite an older person disease, which is pretty naive of me, to be honest. But from joining OddBalls, obviously I've learned along the way. But 15 to 49, it's a huge demographic of people, and particularly the first 10 years of that, so 15 to 25, it's most vicious, and men are most at risk. But like I said, it can strike at any age, as around 2,300 people are diagnosed with it in the UK every year, which is quite a staggering number, to be honest. And then in terms of kind of developing it, having a close relative with a history of testicular cancer increases your risk of also developing it. So that may be something we're talking about amongst families and stuff, just to kind of keep everyone aware and convey this message even further. The causes of the actual disease aren't necessarily known. There's some things that we believe that are kind of linked to it and related. So undescended testicles being one, so basically where your balls haven't dropped, which is more common in younger males. Family history, like I said, so a close relative with a history of it increases your chances. And previous testicular cancer, so if you've had it before, your chances of redeveloping it a lot higher than someone developing it who hasn't had it before. So it's definitely worth kind of just being aware and checking all this stuff. So what I'll do now is I'll cover the kind of testicular cancer specific points. So the warning signs, how it's diagnosed and how it's treated. So in this as well, that there is a short video basically just showing how to check yourself. It's not like a demonstration. I won't be giving the demonstration, which I'm sure most people will be pleased to hear. But it kind of is very lighthearted. It's meant to be quite funny, just to kind of make people more comfortable about speaking about this kind of thing and learning about it. So the signs and symptoms, so the most common signs and symptoms to be looking for when checking yourself are lumps, bumps, and painless swelling. Others include increased firmness, dull ache or sharp pain, or feeling of heaviness. So here's the video. Like I said, it's meant to be really light-hearted, so it's meant to be quite funny, a few funny noises, etc. But it does convey a really important message.
The Oddballs Guide to Checking Yourself. Step 1. Find a suitable location. Maybe not. Perfect. Step 2. Feel one testicle at a time using both hands. Step 3. Inspect by rolling each testicle between thumb and fingers. Step 4. Equate yourself with the spermatic cord and epididymis. These are the tube structures connecting to the back of each testicle. Step 5. Feel for lumps, bumps, and changes in size. It is normal for one testicle to be larger than the other. If you have any concerns, please see a doctor. And that's it. You're good to go.
Okay, so like I said, pretty light-hearted. It is meant to be funny, but like I said, it does convey a really, really important message. So in terms of diagnosis, so if you were to check yourself, Oddballs recommend that you do it once a month after a nice warm shower. The diagnosis, so if you find something, it's really, really important to speak to someone. And it involves obviously going in and doing a simple examination with your GP. And that involves kind of a chat about any symptoms and usually a physical examination, sorry. Like, it's quite kind of obviously a touchy subject, but I know quite a lot of people that have gone for these examinations because they found something or they think they found something. Luckily, I don't know anyone that's developed it, and it hasn't turned out to be cancer. It's just turned out to be a cyst or something. But they've always said that they've been pretty nervous about going because it's just awkward, which again kind of relates back to the whole stigma surrounding it. However, they've said that the doctors are obviously professionals; they do it on a daily basis, so it's not something to necessarily be concerned about, as they know what they're doing. So if the doctors were to find something, then you kind of go for further blood tests and ultrasounds, and then that essentially confirms whether the cancer is present. And then in almost all cases, a CT scan will take place to check for signs of the cancer spreading, which again relates back to the kind of invading the surrounding cells and healthy tissue. And then in terms of treatment, so if it is the cancer is found present within your body, then obviously you'll need to be treated. So usually when I do this in person, you usually get a wince with this, as you can have your testicle surgically removed, which is called an orchidectomy. And that generally happens alongside chemotherapy and radiotherapy to help prevent the cancer returning, essentially. And then you would have the option to have a prosthetic testicle fitted. It's nothing special, not LED light, not glow in the dark, anything like that. It literally just makes you, well, stops you from walking on a slant, essentially, which is pretty important. Also, in terms of sperm banking, so for those of you that don't know, you can kind of provide a sample of sperm, essentially, and then it's kept frozen to use it at a later date. So if you've had to have a testicle removed, you are still fertile, but to kind of increase your chances of being able to, well, fertilize, essentially, you may want to consider that, because there's no guarantees. Like I said, you are still fertile after having one testicle removed, but in some treatments, it can cause infertility. And then obviously if you lose both testicles for whatever reason, then it becomes far more difficult. We also talk about support networking. So as I said before, it's really important to talk to someone if something is found. And then kind of during the journey from finding out to treatment, it's really important to kind of have that support network. Without it, it's quite a lot of pressure to have on an individual's shoulders. And it, like it says on the screen, a problem shared is a problem halved. So if you're able to share the information you have with other people, then it takes a lot of pressure off you. Because obviously having testicular cancer can, well, it will cause a lot of stress and nerves and probably further mental health issues. But if you're able to share that responsibility with people, then it takes a lot of pressure off you. And it must be remembered that it won't only affect you, like it'll affect the people around you. So if you're all talking about it and keep being honest with each other, then it kind of soothes the pain quite a bit. But if you do find a lump when checking, or any of the other symptoms for that matter, it's really important to remain positive. Speak to whoever, close family members, doctor, whoever, to ensure that it's treated correctly, as the treatment itself is much more effective when it is found early. And as I said, really effective when it's treated early, as 98 to 99% of people diagnosed early are cured, like completely cured, not to return, which is really, really staggering figures. Okay, so kind of covered the nitty-gritty stuff. I hope you've learned quite a bit about testicular cancer for those of you that didn't know about it, and that you'd be more comfortable to speak about it following this talk. So back to kind of oddballs now and what we do. So we've got the University Ambassador Programme as part of the Oddballs Foundation. So that's what I am. As I said, I'm a University Ambassador as of August last year till August this year. And I do have a really, really nice, well, loud, bright car. It's pretty nice, but it's pretty bold. So second one in, top left corner, or second one down, sorry, that is actually my car. So we drive up to Nottingham once a year, and there's a big ambassador event and a rugby sevens tournament, all focused on raising awareness and raising money for the charity. It's a brilliant day out. Have lots of people involved. A few professional rugby players come down. It's a really good crack, and definitely worth checking out. So when we formed the ambassador program, there were only 5 ambassadors, and they delivered 50 of these talks and reached 8,000 people via the talks, and then distributed 750 of those guides that I was talking about earlier. So not covering much of the country, but doing a pretty good job. So that's 10 talks each, and then 8,000 people reached via those talks is pretty impressive. So moving on to year 2, doubled ambassadors now, and over half, we've doubled the testicular cancer talks, get my words out then, and reached 18,000 people via these talks. So you can see now starting to spread across the country, and kind of having more of a presence, which is really important. Year 3, again, it's doubled, 20 ambassadors, and now over 250 talks, with over 40,000 people reached via the talks. And again, it's spreading across the UK now and into Ireland. So we're getting that further reach. Year 4, pretty much the same. We're just growing upon year. And then year 5, which is the most important year, as it's my year. So now we have 50 ambassadors across unis across the UK. So all the way down to Plymouth and all the way to Stirling in Scotland. So we aim to complete 700 talks between us and reach over 150,000 people. And then, as I said, we've got to distribute and fit 10,000 of the guides, which is 90 different locations. So it can be numerous guides just for different locations across patch. So for some people, the patch is quite small. For me, it's quite large because, well, the Addysg with university ambassadors dropped out. So I've got pretty much North Wales to Mid Wales to cover, and sometimes into Chester and stuff, which is brilliant for me because it looks good, but it is quite expensive on fuel. But it's not too bad when the foundation pay for year insurance and stuff. So I get asked a lot of the time, why university students, why have we been chosen to convey this message? Well, I like to tell people it's because I'm just an all-around awesome guy. Where in reality, I'm a student, so I've got lots of time on my hands. But joking aside, like it's an opportunity to provide personal development for myself, and we're at a similar age to the people within the main demographic, especially like the first 10 years. Like I'm 21, so I'm bang in the middle of that demographic. So if I'm like when I go into schools and stuff and talk to students about it often comes across better because I'm roughly the same age as them. I can kind of relate to them. Whereas if an older person comes in to schools, they don't necessarily engage as well. Don't get me wrong, I've had some schools that just don't engage at all, and it's really difficult. But there's been other schools that have really, really enjoyed it and made the most of the opportunity. So a few more images here, the Check Yourself Guides and Testicular Cancer talks. So after this talk, if you know anyone that wants to have one of these talks and kind of discuss the importance of it, then feel free to get in touch, and make sure to keep an eye out for the Check Yourself Guides that are definitely the most simple way of raising awareness. And they should be up pretty much all over North Wales and, well, most of the UK, hopefully, if ambassadors are doing their jobs. So another thing we do is our social media campaigns. So as we've spoken about previously, the OddBalls brand use their national partners and stuff to raise awareness, where we just use ourselves. The university ambassador programs are pretty effective way we found to raise awareness. So we get involved on social media and stuff with the kind of different challenges we do, such as crossbar challenge and my baubles, and then obviously other ones on the screen there. The picture of the lad sat on the car, that is Ollie, my predecessor. And yes, that is my car. We're not allowed to sit on it this year because one of them actually dented the car that they sat on. I'm glad it wasn't necessarily mine. But either way, it makes for a good picture. So, and then in terms of getting involved, obviously we appreciate anyone that wants to raise awareness and fundraise for us. And like, we're not kind of pressuring anyone to do any of this. Like come in and let me do a talk is amazing. It's enough. But if you want to kind of have the oddballs cushions that we've got, or any of the Check Yourself guides fitted around buildings and stuff, then please let us know. Like some of them I do. I've given some cushions to Colin Bay Rugby Club recently, given some cushions to Area Sixth Form. Like it's a pretty simple but effective way of raising this awareness, and it's definitely a pretty cool way to get involved. And then, like I said, in terms of fundraising, we welcome everyone to fundraise, no matter what your experience. And Oddballs will pretty much support you all the way and kind of cover it all on social media and just essentially be really grateful. So yeah, again, let us know if you fancy doing anything towards it. Cover that. And then if you have any feedback following this talk, then please feel free to get in touch with the foundation. We really appreciate the feedback, and it helps us know how we can convey this message more effectively. So yeah. And then if anyone wants to follow us on social media, those are our tags. It is quite lighthearted and pretty funny. A lot of the things we do, obviously, it's a lot of lads and girls for that matter, just walking around in their underwear, doing all sorts. And it also kind of, well, again, conveys the message, but kind of raises awareness for the people that are fundraising. So if we're kind of promoting and stuff regarding a fundraising event, then more people are probably going to donate and get involved as well. Like one of the biggest fundraising events we've had so far is one of the university ambassadors. He cycled across the USA, right across the middle, over the summer, and raised a significant amount of money for the foundation, and it's a brilliant advert for us as a charity, but also himself, and definitely set the standards with that one. And that's me done. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I can see there's one in the Q&A box there. So diolch am y cwestiwn, Dafydd. So os ydych chi'n teimlo am y tro gyntaf, mae'r lympia falle yn eithaf amlwg. So David's asking, when examining your testicles for the first time, how do you know if it's normal to start off with? So I'll kind of just answer this question in English to kind of reach everyone, I suppose. Basically, it's the kind of shape of them and any lumps and stuff pretty obvious. Like you'd know that something's not right. And again, like I know 2,300 people get it on an annual basis in the UK, but there's obviously a lot of people that don't. So you will have multiple symptoms. It won't just be one. So like I said, dull ache or sharp pain or a significant sized lump, then it's that kind of it's like I said, it's just pretty obvious. So you'd be feeling your testicles and they should, like I said, just be pretty oval shaped. There shouldn't be any inconsistencies. You'd need to familiarize yourself with the spermatic cord and the epididymis, which are at the back of your testicles. But other than that, it should be fairly smooth. And yeah, if you were to find anything, then please let us know, or not us know. So please let someone know, your GP or something. Has anyone got any more questions, or are we okay? Right, Sophie, no, the car's pretty bright. So yeah, definitely give us a wave or come and say hi if you see us driving by. Right, thanks everyone for listening. Brilliant.